Hello and welcome back to the Game Room. You know what I love? Video games. You know what I love? Talking about games. And it seems like a lot of people these days who cover games seem to hate them. Or at least the people who play them. Well, that's not me. And that's not the 4,732 of you beautiful people checking out this video here today. Just want to thank everyone for last week's comments. I had mentioned how I was getting laid off from my job, which is part of the reason why this week we are doing a new video. We're talking about PS5 games, and part of that is just because I found out I was losing my job 2 days before a family trip to Disneyland, so I just got back. I have had no time this week, and of course, losing those funds that had already been committed to when you found out you had no job coming, yeah, that was rough. But it was a wonderful time. But for this week, I just wanted to talk about something that I could talk about, because I've played these games, and with the Xbox raising the price of the Series X after it's been out for 5 years, who knows? And truly, the FOMO tactics to get these videos seen might actually be worth it. And also, I have been playing Claire Obscure Expedition 33, which I want to talk about, and this is a great way of doing it. So if that sounds interesting to you, let's check out 10 PS5 games after this. There's a lot of games out there, some of which you've never even heard of. That's where I come in. My name's Luke. I've been playing games since the age of 2, and I have no life.
This is my game room.
Alright, so yeah, letting the cat out of the bag. The main reason I wanted to do this video today is I have been playing the new Claire Obscure Expedition 33. Though everyone just keeps saying Expedition 33 because it's easier to say. This is the new turn-based game, not tactical game, just a standard, think of like Final Fantasy VII, old school turn-based game made by a AA developer of a bunch of former AAA people. I think it's a team of 30 people. This is probably one of the most gorgeous looking games, one of the best controlling games, and one of the most innovative games I've played in forever. And it also reminds me a lot of a game called The Order 1886, just with the visual style, with how well these people knew how to enhance the hardware, and just everything about this game is incredible. The music, the combat, the story, which I typically, like I've said before, I play my games almost on mute, but because of that family trip, my wife and child actually left a couple of days before I did because I had to wrap up some stuff. So I had time to play this game. I put on the volume. I did not listen to something else while I was playing it, and it is dynamic music. It has different combat themes depending on what zone you're in. The actual turn-based combat is active as in a good way, kind of like in the way Shadow Hearts does, or Mario RPG, where you'll lock in an attack, but then it'll give you a button prompt to then either get a better attack, a perfect parry, which you can dodge and parry the enemy's attacks too, which then will get you new attack points. There's no convoluted mana system. It's just a health system. It does not replenish in between battles. The enemies are on the field. So as well as it has a lot of modern influences too, where your potions and then a group potion refill when you get to save points. Think of them like the fires in Elden Ring. But when you save and rest there, it replenishes your health potions, but it replenishes the enemies too. The enemies will have weak points, weaknesses. Each one of the playable characters you find has a very unique play style. You can decide where to invest your upgrade points. Every level you get 3 skill points you can put on health, strength, or speed, and there's a turn order on the set. Like literally, if you do not like turn-based combat, this game is for you, and if you like turn-based combat, this game is for you. It pretty much is a perfect melding. Even things like the way they have a world map are perfectly integrated. I feel like I'm playing a 16-bit RPG, but that looks like a 2025 game, and that's the reason why this game has blown up. I have not seen this kind of just greatness since the original Octopath Traveler as far as taking something that was old and refreshing it. But this takes it even to a new level. The fact that you can dodge and you can parry the enemies. Dodging has a little bit more of a window than the parry window does, but you can take on enemies that you have no business fighting if you just can execute for 50, 100 turns, avoiding all damage or doing this or that. And it's so cool. It reminds me of in Breath of the Wild when I took the bomb and I killed one of the big ogre things by just running around in a circle. And this game allows you to do that kind of combat. And it's just like not even talking about the story, which minor spoilers. If you don't want to hear about that, jump to the next game. I'll put them in the timestamps. But just minor spoilers here. What the whole point of the game is that about 67 years ago, this being they call the Paintress wrote a 00. And then after a year, she put 99 and then 98. And this kept on every year until they started noticing that the people of that age, when that number went, would turn into flowers. And especially it's called gommage. So instead of dying, you gommage. But basically, you die or you disappear. And so there's only so many years you can do this. And your character at the beginning of the game is 32, and they just changed to 33. And so you have 1 year left. And it's just, even that is so cool because it gets on that gaminess of it. When you're on the continent where you're trying to go and defeat the Paintress, you will find logs from the previous expeditions. Or it's like, oh, this was the climbing expedition. That's why there's these handholds on the mountains. Or this was the expedition to get caught by a storm. Your character loved learning about the expedition, so that's why they know about it. As well as you will eventually get, I've just gotten a team of 4 people. It's not to go into too wide, but basically your expedition lands there and all things go haywire. And it's just such a cool world, such a cool story. One of the best combat systems I've ever experienced in a turn-based RPG. And I love it. It is so good, such a breath of fresh air. And if you guys have any interest in whatsoever, pick this game up. It's only $50 too. And that's one of the ones where I almost want to buy it a second time just to support the developer, because this is what I've been yearning for from Western developers forever. And it is so damn good. It's so good that it might finally get Square Enix to start making Final Fantasy turn-based again. Could you believe that? Anyways, Clair Obscur Expedition 33, cannot recommend it more. It's likely going to be my game of the year already, and it has been a nice way of dealing with my own personal turmoil right now, because that game is so damn good. All right, moving on. Another game on the PS5 that you're going to want to pick up because it is such a solid game. It was a launch title, and it just, no one talks about it, but it was really, really solid, and that is the original Demon's Souls, but the remake. So this was not made from software, but the company that did the remake was very faithful for it to the original Demon's Souls on the PS3. Warts and all, it's a phenomenal game. I actually went through and I beat this game, unlike the original Demon's Souls. And it's a little bit different than the other Souls-likes because there is a mechanic as far as you can alter the world with light or dark. There's multiple endings to it too, or different pathways you can go through. And also the healing in this game is not as restrictive as, say, Dark Souls, where you only get a certain amount of the Ester flasks. In this one, you can farm healing reagents so that you could really power through the game in some instances where you're just not really learning the mechanics, but you have so many herbs you can just heal, because they stack up to about 99. But other than that, standard Dark Souls combat. The good and the bad of it, but it's a very, very good remake. And something that looks gorgeous on the PS5 to this day. Still one of the better looking games on the system. Now, here's a game that you can get on the Switch and on the Xbox, but this is one that I'd recommend getting on the PS5. Towards the end of the Switch's life cycle, I've noticed that some of these more intricate games, even if they don't have great graphics, just start really struggling on it. Especially, for certain third-party ones where they just don't put in as much work. And this was one that I wanted to get for PS5, but you can get it on the Switch, and that is the Dofield Chronicles, or Dofield Chronicles. more or less, this was kind of a tech demo for some aspects of Final Fantasy 16. It has a similar look and layout map system, but it is a very cool hybrid of a tactical RPG, but also mixed with sort of a real-time strategy game. So you can pause combat, jump around, assign attacks, you can build synergies amongst your troops. One of the things I did towards the end of the game, which I did platinum this. I don't platinum my games, I never do. But this was one of those ones where for some reason I just wanted to put in the extra 8 hours to get the stupid platinum, just because the combat was fun up to a time. There is a time where once you learn which synergy works the best, then you can kind of break the game. You know, it's. I think I got to the point where I got the flying guy where I made a tornado, and then I took the horse dude and charged through it, and then by that point the enemies were almost dead, and I would wipe it up with the arrow guy or etc. And also, one of the things that this game does that I do not like is that some of your party members will leave. So be aware of that. It's one of those games where you will have party members that may or may not leave your party towards the end of the game, and if that's someone you relied on, you know, just diversify your team. But it's got a fun combat, a fun upgrade system. Does not have so many systems on top of systems, much like Clair Obscur, which I did mention. That game doesn't have tons of systems either. There's no armor. You just get new weapons, and then there's a ability that you can pick up these picos where you can learn and then assign, almost like Esther's from Final Fantasy VI. But Dofield Chronicles, very solid game, really fun to play. If you like RTSs, I'm not a huge RTS person, but I like tactical gameplay, and this was a nice hybrid of it that I'd love to see more from, and just not enough people talk about it, and it's one that you should definitely pick up, and I'd recommend getting the PS5 version. Alright, this game is one that I actually have not played, but no one talks about it. I feel like I saw it in one of the PlayStation State of Plays. It came out to not much fanfare and then disappeared. When I finally tracked down a physical copy, I saw some people recommending it, saying it was good. And so I'm kind of just throwing this out there too, whereas if you guys like me, like playing a lot of different types of games, this one looked interesting. And that is Banishing Ghosts of Eden. So this is a game where you play as a couple that go around banishing ghosts. I guess that's your job description. Though you find out, and this is not a spoiler, you find this out in the trailer, that your wife is actually a ghost. And so it's going to become this dichotomy of, okay, are you going to continue helping people banishing their ghosts, or are you going to maybe take some of what you've learned about the afterlife and then apply it to abuse it so that you can possibly bring back your wife? And it looks like a third-person action combat game. I'm not exactly sure how it plays, but I don't even remember this coming out. This was a game where I remember seeing the preview of it, and then it just was out. You know, I found out like, oh, it came out 6 months ago. Let me know, have any of you guys played this? This seems like one of those interesting ones where it could be a bit of a diamond in the rough. Maybe it's terrible, I don't know, but I think I got it for like 20 bucks, so I don't mind taking a risk for $20. So let me know what you guys think about that one. Okay, now this is a super fun one. It was a game I did cover on the channel. It's probably one of the worst performing videos I've done to date, other than the Super Hot 3 video. But it's a fun game. It is not a sequel or anything like that to any of their previous games, but it's made by the same people who made Until Dawn, and more or less this is a spiritual sequel. It's called The Quarry. So Until Dawn deals with a certain monster, you know, kind of slashers, versus this one is more in line with a werewolf movie. So that's, you find this out right at the beginning, so that might be spoilers, but yes, there are werewolves in this game, and just like in Until Dawn, you control a bunch of kind of 20-somethings through a terrifying night, and your choices will decide if they live or die. And to be honest, I found Until Dawn better, but I found the decision-making in this game better, if that makes sense. Like, there are, like, one of the things that is in this was a little surprising is Ariel Winters, the middle child from Modern Family. She's a character in this. They have some other people that are characters in this, just like the studio has done. And depending on your choices, each one of them can die brutally. And, you know, minor spoilers here. Once again, if you don't want to hear this, move on to the next game. In my playthrough, I really wanted to protect her, and then somehow, with my choices, I ended up getting her beheaded. So that can happen. I ended up getting several people killed on accident, which, unlike Until Dawn, I feel like was a lot easier to stop them from getting executed. In the Quarry, you can make some decisions that really can have some serious ramifications, and when you see those ramifications happen, it's one of those, oh no! But very thrilling, lots of cool suspense in it. Unlike Until Dawn, where there's a bit of a swerve, there is no swerve in this one. That's why, you know immediately it's werewolves you're dealing with. And the way that unfolds is very interesting. Oh, it also has the one guy, the guy who's in the Magical movie from March of last year. He's in it too. Like the cast, yeah, take him or leave him. I enjoyed the cast from Until Dawn more, but the game, I think, had some more exciting thrills in it than Until Dawn did. But then again, either one of these is fine, and no one really talks about the Quarry. Definitely recommend picking this one up. All right. Another game that, of course, I talk about tactical games, what can I say? But this was another one that was exceptionally interesting, and that was Unicorn Overlord. So I want to say this was my game of the year from last year. Really, really loved the way this game worked. It more or less was a modern take on something like the Ogre Battle series or Bahamut Lagoon. It used a little bit of RTS in it too, because you have a map, and what you do is you have a squad. So each one of your squads can have between 1 and 5 people. The more people you have on that squad, the more synergies they can develop. Now, this is where you can get really into the numbers. I did not. I also famously will turn off the character animations in these type of games, just because it takes so much additional time when you just can have the enemies fight on the map. Now, it may not be as much fun for all of you, and yes, you do not get to see the cool animations or the cool interactions, but you get through the game a whole heck of a lot faster, and I don't know, I'm weird. I like playing my game that way. I do Fire Emblem the same way. But if you do go into those interactions, it is cool to see how the things move. So like you'll have a cavalry guy go in the back, wipe out a row, the arrow guy wipe out a row, and then maybe they'll heal, and like you can see where the interactions are, so it probably helps you better with planning some of the synergies. But that's just too much. And what's nice about this game is that you don't have to go so nitty gritty in the details. The game's pretty good about giving you optimization kind of ideas. Like if you just pick optimal for me, it'll do it, and the game will pretty much run for you. You'll still have all the decision making, you'll still be the one controlling the field, but you don't have to go in there and decide what kind of ammunition to load and, you know, when to, or set the gambits. So I like that. I think that's that's a good level of automation that I enjoyed. Long game. I think the game's a little long. It's made by Vanillaware, so it's an Atlas title, so that's another reason why you should pick it up, is because those games always become obscure and hard to find, and it was hard to find for this, which again, Clair Obscur was hard to find. I could not find a physical copy anywhere in my town, so it's one that, like, you know, pick these physical copies up if you're a physical collector. But Unicorn Overlord, phenomenal game, highly recommend it. I would pick that one up. Alright, now this is one that was exclusive to the PlayStation. I think there might be a PC release coming, but it's the only Final Fantasy I've beaten since 8, and I really, really enjoyed it, and that was Final Fantasy 16. And the thing that Final Fantasy 16 gets right, yes, it is not turn-based combat, but it is highly polished. It is a very good action game. It is wonderful kind of combat in the fact that they stripped away the party system, the gambit system, the things that annoyed me from 12 and 13, and just made it a straight action game. And you just control your character. So you can have your party with you. It'll evoke kind of that Final Fantasy feel. There's a lot of evoking of Final Fantasy in it, but it is a pure, you know, Devil May Cry, Metal Gear Solid Revengeance type game. But what it gets so right is it really gets all of the summons correct. So if you love the summons from Final Fantasy VII with Ifrit and Rama and, you know, Leviathan, that kind of stuff, this game does it in spades and then turns them into gigantic kaiju battles that you then get to take part in as Ifrit. And it gets a little convoluted towards the end. It does stick the landing as far as it makes sense, though I think there is a bit of a missed opportunity, as well as the third act, the end of the game, gets a little weak in my opinion, as far as, you know, kind of how that resolve comes and what the big bad ends up being. But such great characters. You know, Bahamut's a wonderful character. You have a Cid, one of the best Cids in the entire series in my opinion, other than Final Fantasy VII. There's a love story in this that is really actually good. Like it's a touching love story. And the ending is a nice ambiguous ending that can leave it open to interpretation, so you can debate kind of what happens. Just a phenomenal game. Really, really enjoyed it. And the way they integrated the summons, as well as with the playstyles. So each one of your playstyles can be influenced by the summons. So if you use Shiva, you'll have ice attacks. If you use Rama, you have lightning, Titan, Earth, and so on and so forth. And then when you get to these big battles, they're incredible. My only complaint was the fact that they left out Leviathan, which they say is one of the big... Igers or Ifrits or God, I don't remember what the name. There's like a stand-in for icons. Yeah, icon, but with an E. So Leviathan was one of the icons, but it's disappearing. And they said, oh yeah, there was no DLC planned for the game when it came out. But come on, shut the hell up. We're not stupid. We all knew that there was going to be a Leviathan DLC. And what do you know? Within a year, they announced a Leviathan DLC. I have not played it yet. I'm sure there'll be some re-release of it on the PS6, so maybe I'll get it done when it has a DLC, kind of similar how I haven't played Shadow of the Erdtree. This is where I wish you guys would just make standalone sequels. It's so much easier just to buy that to justify it than have to be like, okay, what do I start a new playthrough now? I don't want to play through all this old content. I just want to do... Anyways, really recommend that game. Really enjoyed it, and there is some pretty cool DLC if you're interested. All right, last few here. So this game, yeah, this is not going to come by any surprise. It won Game of the Year last year, and partially because I think it was a weak year, but this was a really fun game. Just happened to be made by Sony instead of Nintendo, hence why it won, and that was Astrobot. This is a Nintendo game. They did such a good job making this, though, even with it being a Nintendo game. It's not super hard. It's a love letter to Sony, and I actually had my wife play the first or second stage, and it starts off so strong with so much color, so much fun. It's so approachable. Like, she literally, there's a part where you see this big gotcha machine full of balls, and then you jump through, you land on a slide, and it's evoking Mario 64. And my wife looked at me like, this is my favorite game ever. This is incredible. And that's this kind of it's pure fun. And in some ways, they kind of outdid Nintendo in some of this stuff, but it also is really just Sony emulating Nintendo. But hey, that's not a bad thing. Sometimes you emulate and you do a good job. You put a good spin on it, which Astrobot absolutely did. So good for them. And you go into each one of these levels and you will collect different Astrobots. Some of them will look like famous PlayStation characters. So you'll have like a Solid Snake one. You'll have an Aloy one. You'll have Joel from The Last of Us. Like, that's why it's a nice love letter, much like Astro's Playroom was. I haven't played the VR game, but that seems to be the gimmick that Astrobot does. And now it's getting to the point where Nintendo is kind of copying it with the Switch 2 launch of the tech demo, though they're charging for that, which you got to think they're going to have to include that, right? I don't know. But yeah, Astrobot, a very fun game, one that's going to be fun for everyone, even your non-gamers out there, and I definitely would get that one, because that one's probably going to go up now, right? Everything's going up. All right, here's one that I took a risk on. I thought this was another game. So there was a game that came out on the Xbox. I can't remember. It was the studio that got shut down, but the game they released was like some indie darling that everyone loved. And so when I saw this as a physical version, I thought this was it, because I'd also seen people talking about it, and I picked it up, which I am glad I did, because I actually really enjoyed the game. That is Neon White. So this is another one you can get on the other systems. I like having the PS5 version. And Neon White is very interesting because, yes, there's a really anime-heavy, crazy story about the afterlife. I can kind of take that or leave it. That's just not my jam. That's why I don't really get into the Persona games and all that kind of in-between stuff. Let me just get to the gameplay. But the gameplay is phenomenal. It is not it's kind of a speedrun simulator, but not really. Basically, you have to go through these stages, and you get abilities as you pick them up on the stage. So if you pick up a jump, you can jump once. Or you have a gun. So the guns you pick up allow you to fire at the enemies, or they also allow you to use a secondary function which will then, make you jump, or make you jump twice, or make you teleport. And then in order to traverse these levels, at a certain point, you will have to use that ability. And the way that fuses together is very intriguing, very enjoyable, and one of those things where it's a game that slides under the radar. And if you like a variety of games, give this one a shot, because it is very, very fun. I've not played anything else like it, and I really, really did enjoy it. All right, last game we're going to talk about here was the main reason why I wanted a PS5, and still, until maybe last year, it was pretty much the only game, this and Demon's Souls, which was worth getting a PS5 for, in my opinion, and that was Returnal. And Returnal is incredible. My buddy Real Mike said it's similar to a game called Fury that I really enjoy, which, yes, I can see it. It is a roguelike game where you have to go through 6 different biomes, and once you get through the first 3, you kind of save, and then you have to go through the back 3. And then once you do that, then if you want to beat the game, the official way, then you have to go 1 through 6 and collect all these other things to then finally beat it. Though that's if you want to go above and beyond. I think if you just beat the game the normal way, that's more than enough. In this game, you basically, it's a third-person shooter. You will get certain things like a grappling hook, and then when the enemies attack you, a lot of the stuff will end up on the ground, like orbs, kind of like a Nier Automata or something like that. Or if you've played Fury, like the way Fury is, when you're avoiding the things coming around you. And as you progress, you will then unlock more powerful weapons. You will get money that you can then go buy more reagents. You can augment yourself to do different things until you die, and then you go back to baseline. And so this is one of those games where it purely is a roguelike. There is not much progression. Yes, you unlock different abilities, but it is one of those things where it is a lot of fun, but if you lose on an hour and a half run and then come back to the beginning, it's a little bit harder to get up for it than, say, other games. You know, say like a Dead Cells. It's a little bit harder because it's hard to replicate your results. If you liked a certain playstyle or if you liked a certain gun, there's no guarantees you're going to get it. But the levels are always changing, but they always follow the same logic path, so you'll know that there'll be a way to skip to this, there'll be a way to do this, there'll be like if you've played a lot of roguelike games, when they say randomized, it's kind of randomized rooms, but the rooms will always be present. It's the same thing I said when I talked about Dave the Diver, where you'll always know, okay, there'll be a limestone cave somewhere. There'll be the depths somewhere. When you're in the depths, there'll be this. You know, in the other area, there'll be a ship that you can go. So these same landmarks will always be present, but there might be, you know, an attack room here, or there might be this or that, which I enjoyed that gameplay a lot. It's one of the reasons why I enjoyed the original Toe Jam and Earl so much. When you played it on randomized levels, you knew that you'd be getting the ship pieces, and they'd be on one of the levels. You knew you'd be getting the presents. You knew the present would have a certain item in it, but it was the kind of the variety and the mystery of it in each playthrough that made it possible to play it over and over again. And that's what these games really tap into. And if you want the most polished, probably one of the hardest, but satisfying ones of these in this genre, you're not going to do much better than Returnal. And it's just a phenomenal game and one I really, really enjoyed. And doesn't get enough play. It's probably still one of the best, if not the best, PS5 exclusive even today. You know, I like it more than Astrobot. I like it more than Final Fantasy 16. But anyways, that's what you get for this week, guys. Let me know what you guys think of the PS5. Let me know if this video even did anything. We'll see. I'll title it the same way to get those FOMO clicks. But hey, thank you guys again for all the well wishes and everything. I know I'll land on my feet. It's nice to have this. You know, it's nice to be able to talk about games, have you guys. But anyways, just want to let you know how grateful I am for you. You know, we had another great week. Closing in on 5,000 subs. I definitely expect we'll get there by the end of the year, but we'll see. We'll see how this video does. Thank you guys for clicking on it and watching here to the end. As always, I release a new video every Tuesday. It's been so nice getting a hold of you. Take care.